Welcome back to the Outlaw Ranch. First, let me apologize. I didn't get a video out last week. I was under the weather and things just kind of kept piling up. What I've done here is, this is where we left off a couple weeks ago. We have the subframe tacked up underneath the truck, but it's just the main hoops. From here now, we need to do some bracing. There's going to be a lot of forces on the center hoops from the axles. This is where the links will attach. So what I did is I have some of this, it's just a Tyvek, it's just tape. You use this on home wrap and stuff like that, but I had some of it and it happens to be 2 inches wide here. So what I did was I took some of the tape and kind of started trying to figure out how I want these braces to be. Unfortunately, it kind of curled up here. This is about a 30-degree angle. It's not quite square or anything here. In fact, this rear tube here isn't even, straight up and down. So there's going to have to be a notch put in there, then probably a 30-ish degree angle here, and then we'll cut it up nice and flush here with the frame. I'm a little concerned about taking that frame any further back here, at least on this first tube. The reason is that shock, the rear shock, is going to mount somewhere in here, I believe, the upper shock mount, and then it'll go down to the axle. And I want to make sure that that shock will clear that bracing in case of axle articulation side to side. This is what I'm going to try. You'll have to bear with me. My tubing bender it's a good bender, just my compressor over here is really small and it takes a lot of air pressure to bend this tube. It is 3/16, it's 188 wall, so it takes a lot. So I'm going to go see if I can't get some measurements and grab this tube here. I think it's like 23 feet long. We'll put a 30-degree bend in it and roughly kind of hold it up into place. I don't have a place to mount my notcher, so unfortunately we won't be able to get this notched and tacked into place, I don't think. So stand by, folks. We're going to see if we can't get 4 of these bent up about the same, and we'll continue from there. All right, y'all, this is what I've done. Put the tube in the tubing bender here, bent it up. You have to go a few degrees past. So if you actually look, that's right at 30 degrees. And I had to go to about 33 degrees because of spring back. It's where the tubing wants to kind of go back to its original shape. So it wants to straighten itself back out. So you have to go a few degrees past. And on this one, for this particular bend, it was about 3 degrees. We've got this bent up. The first leg of it here is about 26 inches. The second leg of it here will be about 32-ish. We'll probably cut it to 34, 35. That way we have enough room, kind of wiggle room rather, when we go to make this angled cut here. It may come back a little bit into here. If it does, no big deal. We can shorten it up, and we're going to lose a little bit of length here because it's going to actually end up coming into here with that cope kind of going around this tube. So we're going to lose a little bit there. So we make it a couple inches long there. We'll make it a few inches long here just so we can make sure we get that angle as nice and tight as possible. So stand by, folks. We're going to go get some more tools out. We'll cut this off and see if we can't get 3 more to look just like it. Actually, I guess before we'll do that, we'll hold it up in place and see how good it looks. So stand by. All right, y'all, here is the end product. I did get 4 bent exactly the same here. This first one here that my foot is on here, you'll notice it's a couple of inches long, longer than these middle 2. What happened was I cut it a little long just to make sure that it was going to come up in here. I did take a couple of photographs of holding the tube up there. It looked okay. It might be a little long. If it is, it's not a big deal. We can always cut it off a little bit shorter. I do need to make sure that the shock mount and everything is going to clear. These other 2, the middle 2 here, I cut them a little shorter, realizing just how much longer this one was. Now this top tube here is quite a bit longer here, and that just represents what was left of that 23-ish foot stick. Some of this, I only did the tape on the rear. The front will change a little bit here. And the reason it will is as you come up from here, up into this frame here, I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but the frame kicks in. It pinches in towards the center of the truck. So the frame rails are more narrow up front than they are on the back. I might need to put just a little dog leg or something like that on these ends when I go to do the fronts. I'm not real sure yet. They might just end up kind of angled in there instead of nice and straight and then, dog leg in towards the frame. I don't have any software or anything like that to kind of help me map out these bends or anything. But as you can see, all 4 are the same. With the exception of the lengths, that's okay. That'll get cut off. But I got lucky again and somehow managed to get those bends all the same. The tape, when I measured it out, the tape ended up being like 34 or 35 degrees. It's kind of hard to tell. It is just tape and it's real flimsy. So when I bent these right at 30 degrees. Now on the bender, because they're spring back, it ended up being like 33 degrees. And with the spring back, they come back to 30. But I got lucky again here, folks. Please don't mistake this for any kind of talent because I have none. This is just beginner's luck, I'm sure of it. I got those 4 all bent, and those 4 sticks right there represents that full 23-foot stick. When you start bending this tubing, these bends take up quite a bit of material, and again, I don't know how much material it takes up. I could probably sit here and measure it, where it starts to pinch, right here, and then as it starts to bend into here, and I could probably measure that out and stuff. I'm not real sure where I would start that measurement, where that measurement would end. I just don't know. So when you do this backyard kind of fabricating, it's they're guesses, and hopefully those are lucky guesses. The front, again, it might end up being at a little bit different angle. Again, if these are not sharp enough bends, let's say instead of that 30-degree bend, maybe that should have been more like a 35-degree bend. It's not a big deal. We can chuck that back up into our bender over here, and we can go the extra few degrees and make them sharper. But what we cannot do is make them less. So erring on, again, the side of caution, I decided to bend them a little less. If we have to, we can come back with it. I appreciate all of you guys watching. Again, I apologize for last week, just a little under the weather. Like, share, and subscribe. It really does help. We're just trying to get this off the ground. We're not trying to get rich or anything, but we do want to kind of help those that are trying to do this themselves. And maybe we can save somebody a little bit of little bit of work and frustrations if you follow along with what I'm doing. So thank you all very much, and we'll catch y'all on the next one.